We are back with our number 24 through number 12. Obviously, we were recording this in the same day. We do not wear the same clothes over multiple days. So, without further ado, great transition. Let's go into number 24, starting with you, Kip.
Okay, I have DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is rolling into his second season. He is a specimen. This dude's built crazy, and just watching him in the playoffs, him just dominating Philly. I'm gonna love to draft this guy, even though he's behind Lockett, in my opinion, for targets wise. He has huge play potential, and he can get free and just he's gone once he's past you. Dude's really fast. So, DK Metcalf.
Oh, yeah, it's my turn. And my number 24, my list just turned off on me. My number 24 is Brandon Cooks. This is where I have Brandon Cooks. I think he becomes a bigger factor to this offense than you guys think. And I know you guys think that Will Fuller is going to be, I don't want to say that Will Fuller is not going to be great. I just think that Brandon Cooks is going to end up getting more targets and be just as much part of his offense as Will Fuller is. I like Brandon Cooks more as a receiver than Will Fuller personally. And yes, he's concussion prone, but I imagine that when he's on the field, that he'll be able to get things done.
I like that bold take, Garrett. We might have to do a little bit of a bet on him being a top 24 receiver. 24 for me, DK Metcalf. Kip, you said it. This guy's a beast. He's made out of a lab. Last year, 16 games he played. He only saw 100 targets, which that should be way higher next year. He had 58 receptions, 900 exact yards receiving, and 7 touchdowns. I think his targets go up, his receptions go up, his yards go up, and his touchdowns go up. This guy, absolute beast. And obviously it helps having Russell Wilson as your quarterback.
Okay, 23, I have DJ Chark. Okay, no, we can't do that twice. DJ Chark, he's in a great situation. He has a great quarterback in Gardner Minshew.
Great. I love how he slips great.
No,
you didn't think we would hear him slip in great.
My next 3 receivers, they all had just hyper production last year. They had great production over a small period of time. DJ Chark, I think he carves out a wide receiver 1 role on this offense, but nothing too crazy. There's gonna be D.D. Westbrook. There's gonna be Laviska Shenault. That's why I cannot put him any higher than this.
I like that take, Kip. Number 23 for me is Robert Woods. And the what team does he play for? The LA Rams offense. I'm really blanking out tonight, guys. The LA Rams offense wasn't as explosive last year, but they were still able to get a good amount of passing yards in, even with Brandon Cooks in there. Now that he's out, we have Cooper Kupp in there, who I have a little bit higher up on my list. I imagine Robert Woods still gets a good amount of production from Jared Goff, and he ends up remaining a wide receiver 2 with good production on this offense.
23 is AJ Green. What team does he play for? Oh yeah, the Bengals. AJ Green, obviously much better talent than he is listed down here, but he's getting older. I believe he's going to be 32 when the season goes. Obviously Tyler Boyd's there. He's got a rookie quarterback, but AJ Green, last time we seen him fully healthy in 2017, he played 16 games. He had 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. So he still has the ability. It's just, can he stay healthy?
22, I have A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown last season had just a hyper-efficient season. He only saw 52 catches, and he had over 1,000 yards. That's pretty rare if you're doing that. But it seems that Tennessee, they're shaping this offense around A.J. Brown, and they're running up plays just for him to get open and make these huge, deep plays. So he had 8 touchdowns last season. I don't see why he can't do it again.
Oh,
And
right.
he's got Ryan Tannehill, very underrated quarterback.
Sweet. I have AJ Brown a little higher up on my list. Going into my number 22 is Debo Samuel. Yes, they're a run-first team, but I imagine they give Samuel the ball a lot this year. The only thing that concerns me is the potential use of Brandon Ayuk. They drafted him in the first round, obviously to become a bit of a gadget receiver along with Debo Samuel, but I still think that Debo Samuel remains the wide receiver one on this team.
22 for me, Robert Woods. Obviously, Brandon Cooks shipped out of town. See you later. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Cooper Kupp's in that offense, but Robert Woods consistent. He had 86 receptions 2 years ago, 90 the year previous. The only thing you'd like to see more is he only had 2 receiving touchdowns last year. That's got to go up. But Robert Woods should see more volume that Brandon Cooks has gone.
Okay, at 21, I have Scary Terry F-150 McLaurin. I like Scary Terry. This dude is super athletic. He's from a place where wide receivers are bred and born in Ohio State. He's an Ohio State receiver. I mean,
a Michigan man praising Ohio State. Oh, we've seen it all.
We love to see it.
I can't keep watching this happen. Before I turn around, KJ Hill is going to be the number 1 receiver on the Chargers. Just I can't. But okay. Scary Terry, I don't care if he has bad quarterback play. I'm not scared about that, Nick. He's the number 1 guy over there. I can't even think of another Redskins receiver over there, and there's no notable one. So, yeah, I'd love to have him as my wide receiver too.
A bit of a spoiler alert here, but Kip also has Donovan Peoples-Jones in his top 12, so be on the lookout for that.
DPJ.
I'm surprised he wasn't a sleeper for you.
Next year.
Where did he end up going? I completely forgot.
The Cleveland Browns.
Oh, yeah, you hate to see it. All right.
Well, he's going to Baker Mayfield, who you think is the greatest quarterback since sliced bread, so I like to see it.
Most Browns receivers don't do well. You know this, Nick. Corey Coleman, and there's another guy whose name's slipping me. We're just going to go into my number 21, who I have Hollywood Marquise Brown, and I fully expect for him to have a really good year. I don't think Lamar Jackson regresses as a passer, simply because I think there's not a whole lot to regress on. I think a lot of those throws he made are just as natural. It's just his natural throwing ability that he's had since college. And Hollywood Brown is easily going to be the number 1 receiver in this offense. Mark Andrews will still have a role, but I think it'll be more in blocking than rather than receiving. So, yeah, I expect Hollywood Brown to be on the way up.
21 for me is a guy who I think is going to regress a little bit, but he's still pretty consistent. I got Keenan Allen. This is 3 straight years where he's, 1,400 yards, 1,200 yards back-to-back years, 100 receptions, and 6 touchdowns. So he's going to be at right around 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's, wide receiver 2 numbers. I don't love Tyrod Taylor, but, it is what it is.
20, I have Tyler Lockett. It's difficult to predict the Seahawks passing attack, but Tyler Lockett has proved that he's the number 1 guy. He's been paid out there. They're going to use him. He had 110 targets last year. You love to see that. But DK Metcalf is creeping up, taking those targets. So I'm not going to put Lockett any higher than 20 here.
Yeah, they really do ride the hot hand over there in Seattle. So when you're ranking Lockett and Metcalf, you kind of have to have them similar.
Yeah.
Nick, you and I were talking the other night, and I said you might not like who I have in number 20, but I'm glad to think we are on the same page.
Let me guess.
I have
No. Let me guess. Keenan Allen.
Yes, it is Keenan Allen. Yeah, the quarterback play is going to regress. So I imagine that Keenan Allen's play regresses behind that. Yes, I do have Mike Williams as a sleeper pick, but that's dependent on if Justin Herbert, Air Bear, as some might call him, is everything that we hope and want him to be. So, yeah, Keenan Allen, I expect him to really do good things this season. Or I expect him to do. I mean, you kind of said it best. He's going to regress, but I still think his production will still be there.
20 for me is a guy who I don't love, but he's good enough to be there. Cortland Sutton. I like Drew Lock. I think Drew Lock's got a cannon for an arm. It helps Sutton out that he's a big receiver. Last year, he started 14 games. He had 124 targets, 72 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So this guy, he can go up, he can get the ball. He's a big receiver, and obviously they got Jerry Jeudy, they got Noah Fant, they got all these guys, but Cortland Sutton will lead this team in targets.
Like that take. 19, I have Keenan Allen. So all three of us have
19,
agreed.
20, 21. So you
Like
guys are just a little bit higher than me.
Yeah, so yeah, we all agree. Keenan Allen takes a step back. Last year he was phenomenal. This year he's got a new quarterback. He will likely have 2 new quarterbacks. I love Justin Herbert. I hope that he's everything that the Chargers have invested in him in a top 6 pick. So I feel like Keenan Allen will be the safety blanket for whoever's back there at quarterback.
All right, interesting stuff there. Yeah, 19, 20, 21. Going into my number 19, I have DJ Moore right here. Some people are concerned about the bit of regression now that they have Teddy Bridgewater in there, but I think his production only goes up. So I think he only goes up. Yeah, he had Kyle Allen last year, who might as well be selling beds at IKEA at this point. So I think DJ Moore is going to be real steady production there. A bit of an upgraded quarterback. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is the greatest, but I think he's a lot better than an IKEA manager. So yeah, DJ Moore there at number 19 for me.
19 for me, Tyler Lockett. I think he's one of the more underrated receivers in football, just because they don't throw the ball a lot in Seattle. Last 2 years. 2 years ago, he had 10 receiving touchdowns. Last year, 8. You don't think of Lockett as like this big touchdown guy, but he is. He's got Russell Wilson. Last 2 years, 1,000 yards receiving. So, he's pretty consistent. He's a mid to low end wide receiver too.
At 18, I have Calvin Ridley. I like Calvin Ridley. A ton of people are loving on Calvin Ridley and sliding him super high in their list. And that's to be expected. The Falcons have been year and year again the top passing teams. Matty Ice has always been airing it out, giving it to Julio and whoever's been second there. So Calvin Ridley coming into his 3rd season, he's gonna do great. I'm just not in love with him. Just put him at 18.
My number 18 is someone who I think could be a lot lower, and I think this is going to end up ultimately being a ceiling, is Allen Robinson. This is somebody who has been stuck with bad quarterback play his entire career, and now he's going to get just a little bit more of it with Nick Foles and Mitchell Trubisky battling it out for who gets the $30 million contract this year. Oh, wait, they both do. So Allen Robinson is going to end up being a wide receiver 1 in an offense that just isn't consistent. I think that David Montgomery ends up being the focal point of that offense by year's end. How long it takes to get there is beyond me.
18 to me. This guy I think is a lot better receiver than where I'm putting him, but I got Devontae Parker. I would be way higher on him if I knew Ryan Fitzpatrick was going to be the quarterback all year long, because we know he can sling it. 18 for me. Last year, kind of a breakout year, like Kip said. He had 72 catches, 1,200 yards, and 9 big ones. So Devontae Parker, very good receiver. Garrett thinks he sucks. Moving
That's
on
not
to
true.
On 17, looks like I'm higher than both of you on this guy. It's Robert Woods. When I'm going into drafts and I'm seeing Cooper Kupp go off the board, because I would imagine in all leagues, Cooper Kupp will go off the board before Woods. I'm going to just look at Woods right after, take him right after. It's going to be a 1-2 in are they in Los Angeles now? Or yeah, I think that yeah, they went to Los Angeles. But
Yep, they've been in Los Angeles for like 3 or 4 years now.
Well, now they have their own stadium, so we can look forward to that.
It's Kupp and Woods. Cooks is gone. I like Woods. He had a great quiet season last year. I think people just overlook what he did last season. And he finished as wide receiver 14. He had 90 catches. 90. If your wide receiver 2 is getting 90 catches, you should cash that in every time. So
Deposit that.
yeah. So yeah, go ahead, Garrett.
All right. I like to take on Robert Woods. My number 17 is Devontae Parker. I do not think he sucks. I think he's going to have a pretty good year, and I would be very happy to have him as my wide receiver too. He had a very much an under the radar breakout season last year. I was not aware that he had 1,000 yards until Nick brought it to my attention on an Instagram post. So yeah, very much under the radar. I think the production is still there even with Tua as the quarterback. I'm not really too concerned about Tua's ability to swing the ball just as much as Ryan Fitzpatrick. Obviously, Ryan Fitzpatrick is on his his 30th team, so he just doesn't care at this point. So, I expect Devontae Parker to. This is probably going to be his 4 even at number 17. Might be a little crazy to say that, but that's why I have at number 17, Devontae Parker.
17 for me, Calvin Ridley. Last year, only 10 games started. He had 93 targets, 63 catches, almost 900 yards, 7 touchdowns. If he plays 14, 15 games in this offense, Matty Ice slinging the football around, he is going to be a wide receiver too. And if anything, God forbid, happens to Julio Jones, then Calvin Ridley is just an absolute stud.
Can't argue with that. 16 might be bold, but I have Odell Beckham Jr. After the past 2 seasons of mediocre Odell play, I'm just afraid to pick him. He is extremely talented. I still don't know his place in this offense. Last season, it seemed like the Browns with Freddie Kitchens, they were just trying to get it to Odell in the first quarter, and then, don't throw to him in the other quarters of the game. So I feel like he definitely has a better season than last season. I feel like he can have 1,000 yards and 4, 5, 6 touchdowns, and that'll land him right in there at wide receiver 2.
I like that take, Kip.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Going into my number 16 is Cooper Kupp. I imagine this is where he ends up slotting at the end of the year. I think the Los Angeles Rams offense I imagine the offense is better, but not by a whole lot. I don't know what Sean McVay ends up doing after the bit of a bummer year he had last year. But they have a lot of money invested in that offense, I imagine. Cooper Kupp ends up becoming the focal point of it. Cam Akers and Robert Woods might take some of the attention away, but I imagine I think Cooper Kupp's talent is just too good to not give the ball to him.
16 for me, AJ Brown, absolute freakish athlete. I like Ryan Tannehill more than you guys like him. Not saying I love him, but he's average. AJ Brown, just 23 years old. He had 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, and he only started 11 games last year. He's going to be the premier wide receiver on this team, and he's 20. He'll be 23, so he'll only get better. The Titans obviously run heavy, but AJ Brown, just a dynamic player, and he also can run the ball. He had like a 50-yard touchdown run last year. So just get the ball in his hands. He's an easy wide receiver too.
15, kind of piggybacking off Garrett, I have Cooper Kupp. So to be expected, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, pretty closely packed together in the rankings. Jared Goff has a great rapport with Cooper Kupp. We've seen Cooper Kupp break off huge plays, like go into beast mode, stiff arm dudes. I don't know how he's that tough, but I like Cooper Kupp here at 15.
I do too, Kip. I do too.
I do too. I love that pick. Number 15, Nick and I are kind of on the same trend right here. I also have AJ Brown right here, even though they got that bum at quarterback. No, I'm just playing. I'm just saying. I just say that to make Nick upset. AJ Brown is a freakish athlete, a deep threat, and I imagine that he doubles down on that again this year. I don't think a lot of people think last season was a fluke just because of the low amount of targets and what amount of receptions. I think he just goes back to that. I don't think. I almost said Adam Humphries. He's not. He's not on the Titans. I don't think. Oh, who's that white receiver on the Titans? It's an. I can't remember his name.
It's Adam Humphries.
Adam Humphries.
You were right the first time around.
He's on the Titans now.
Yeah.
He got traded. Yeah.
Why did I think he was on the? Okay, never mind.
Bucks, right?
Yeah, but he signed with Tennessee. He didn't get traded.
Oh, okay.
Or Kip.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm. I don't know what I'm on tonight, but AJ Brown continues to unload in this offense with Ryan Tannenbaum as his quarterback, and yeah, I'm just gonna stop before I embarrass myself anymore.
15 for me, just like Kip said. Cooper Kupp at 15. People forget the first 8 games of last season, Cooper Kupp was a top 3 fantasy receiver in football, absolute monster. Then he kind of fell off the second half of the year. I don't love Jared Goff, but guess what? Jared Goff threw for almost 5,000 yards last year, so that'll work when you're talking about fantasy football. Cooper Kupp, he will lead this team in targets, I think. And he's a very good receiver. I don't care that he's white. He's still a very good receiver, Garrett. And 10 touchdowns last year. So that's very good as well, even though about 8 of them came in the first half of last year. If he's more consistent, Cooper Kupp's a wide receiver 1.
Okay, 14 is probably going to trigger Nick, I guess.
Julian
Edelman.
Whoa.
Really?
Faithful.
Blowing the gaskets off. You guys have some hot takes.
Julian Edelman had 153 targets last season. And yes, this was with Tom Brady, his boyfriend, Tom Brady. But still, this dude is going to see a ton of targets. N'Keal Harry, he basically missed the whole season. So I don't see N'Keal Harry coming out of anywhere. And then there's basically nobody else. Cam Newton to Julian Edelman, you can clock that in for 95 receptions right there. And I'm loving that. It doesn't matter if he's going to score touchdowns. Touchdowns are very random in fantasy football. So I'm still in on Julian Edelman. He's still chugging.
Garrett, where did we have Edelman? I'm just trying to remember. I feel like I put him way down there.
I have him at 27, right? Yep. And you have him at
33 too. Wow.
So that's a bold take for myself.
All right. I like it, Kip. I like the confidence. You got to go out on a limb. I like it.
Yeah, going out on a limb for Julian Edelman.
Last season, Julian Edelman was the wide receiver 7 of the whole league. Full PPR.
I like that.
Is he 40?
Yeah,
is he like 40 years old, or is he? All right.
Receivers can be however old. I mean,
yeah. Tell that to Golden Tate. He's still trying to resurrect his career over in New York.
Just wait till I call out Larry Fitzgerald. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, is he number 8?
I forgot to put Larry in there. Out of respect.
He'll be my 1.5. All right. Going into my
wait, we don't have our. Do we have 11.5 rankings this time or no?
We'll have to wait and see if I mess up again.
Kip's gonna be like, shoot, I forgot. I forgot Julio. He's in my 3.5.
Oh my gosh, Adam Thielen's a receiver. I forgot about him. All right.
All right, Garrett. Is that a precursor to who you have at 14?
No, I have him a lot higher up.
A lot higher. Whoa.
I do. My number 14 is Odell Beckham Jr. This is a guy who should be better than, or should have better production than he is. but he's not there yet. I want to see how he performs this year. I think it's very tough to stop. I think it's tough to tell because they're going to be playing with a brand new playbook for the third year in a row, and it really just depends on if Baker Mayfield is able to perform or not. Obviously, Jarvis Landry is more consistent than Beckham is, but a lot of this depends on the play of Baker Mayfield. If he's able to adjust to the new offense, then Beckham's potential goes up. If not, then it goes sliding way down. So, Odell Beckham at number 14.
14 for me. A guy I whiffed on last year, but I'm not whiffing on this year. Juju Smith-Schuster, he's 14 for me. People forget how great he was with Ben Roethlisberger. Let's just look at 2018. He had 111 receptions for 1,500 yards and 7 touchdowns. You can take that to the bank, and that will go through. That's not going to get flagged. Juju, absolute monster. He's still very young. Big Ben will play the full year. He will. And I feel like Juju has a huge ceiling. And, I think he has a floor of a wide receiver, too. Absolute monster. I was wrong last year. I'm right this year.
Okay, so 13, I have Amari Cooper. Last season, Amari Cooper finished out at the wide receiver number 10. And I feel like he's become a consistent guy. He'll get, 80-plus catches, 1,200 yards, and then, 6 to 8 touchdowns. There's more weapons on the offense now, but Amari Cooper is still that guy, and he's the number 1 there.
All right. Interesting stuff there. I have Amari Cooper a little higher up on my list. My number 13 to round out my second tier is Courtland Sutton. You guys are not so high on him. You guys are not sure about how he's going to play with Drew Lock. He had a 45-year-old guy in Joe Flacco throwing him the ball last year, and he still performed well. So Courtland Sutton is going to end up producing just the same results. I'm not scared of Jerry Jeudy. I think Jerry Jeudy cuts into that a little bit, but not enough to the point where Courtland Sutton won't be a top 15 receiver this year. So I feel very confident that Courtland Sutton is going to be a top tier receiver. You guys are not, and you guys will end up missing out.
I love that take. 13 for me. I agree with Kip. Amari Cooper. People forget he's only 26 years old. This guy, I feel like he's been in the league for 10 years. He's still 26. Last year, 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns, 120 targets. This guy will lead the Cowboys in targets, and he's not great. He's good, but he's being paid like he's an elite receiver. It doesn't matter how much you're paid. In fantasy, it's about what you put up, and Amari Cooper is right on that fringe of a 1-2 receiver.
All right, this rounds out the second tier of our wide receiver list. You can check all the way there from 13 to 24. Let us know what we got it right, where we got it wrong. Am I too high on Courtland Sutton, or is everybody else too low? And is Keenan Allen going to be 19, 20, or 21? I guess we'll find out. So
that's interesting how that worked out like that.
Yeah, very interesting. This is going to round out the. This is going to round out the second part. I forgot what I was saying. It's going to round
24 to 13.
24 to 13. Our next video tomorrow will be 12 to 1, and our final thoughts, a little bit of betting and shenanigans after the full rankings are released. So
no betting.
Kip's dry. He's got a $50 bet on Gardner Minshew.
They don't know about that one yet. They don't know. All right. We will see you guys tomorrow with the next video, and peace out.